Hey y'all, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Got my plate of food. Let me know if y'all can see it. About to be eating these nachos while we reacted to Summer Wing Live. We're about to get this cracking. Got my food right here. Let me know if y'all can see my nutty chili. Rotelli. Got some rotelli for tonight. Oh, y'all can't see it. Let me get it into the light some more. Rotel. There we go. I'm backing it. Rotel for tonight. For spooky. What did I call this? I can't even remember what the hell I called it. Spooky, scary stream summer wing. Spooky, scary stream summer wing. But we got 8 of Audacity stitches that we're going through tonight. I'll be eating my nachos while we're going through it. Let me shut my door up right quick. Okay. Alright, we about to get started, y'all. Been waiting to eat these nachos with y'all.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely true. I'll go first.
Hey y'all, I'm back. So, I don't know if this falls under ghost story, but I feel like this can fall under paranormal, um, demonology. So, last year, I ended up going to hang out with a friend that I, met through high school. And we went to a diner and we had a very good time and we chatted, we talked about music and all these amazing things. And then we went for like a walk and, just a regular old night out. After a while, I was starting to feel like, okay, it's time for me to head in the house. I want to get some rest. So at this time, I think it was just about to hit 1 a.m. So we were already in the downtown area. For those that live downtown New Haven, you know what I'm talking about. So I was on the green part. And I was like, I could just walk from here. Like, you don't got to drive me. Like, you don't got to waste no gas. So we departed from each other. I told him I'll let you know, when I get in the house and I'm safe and so on and so forth. Cool. I'm walking. I get to the corner. I'm waiting for the little light to go so I can cross over to the intersection to the other side. As I am walking, I'm hearing this very familiar music, which I think I'll have another story time for that as well, of how, like, I had an introduction to a lot of different demonology and things like that in my earlier days.
Now,
But I'll get into that in another story.
introduction to demonology.
So I heard this very deeper octave, like meditative voice that a lot of people listen to when they like do invocation and things like that. And it was like, release, release, release. So as I'm looking, there's a Caucasian male walking towards me. He's holding a speaker. I'm like, okay. For some reason, my spirit wasn't afraid. And I think because just of me having knowledge of the spiritual world, me being a medium, me talking to the dead for the fucking living, so on and so forth. So it's like, I'm not really afraid. So then, as this guy is getting closer to me, I see the speaker in his hand. And as we get shoulder length, this is when shit get real crazy. When we get shoulder length, this man literally look at me. And his eyes are just pitch black.
Crazy.
Like black. Like night sky black. And I remember when last year Monique spoke about when she was doing a stand-up comedy show and she told a guy to take her glass off. He didn't take the glass off. When she came back to him, he, pulled the glass down a little bit and you could just see like the all black pupils. Those people are amongst us. I don't know necessarily what they are. I don't know if they are of demonology or not or what, but I can say last year in person, and I'm not in no way, I didn't have no drinks that night. I don't really smoke, to be honest. I was very sober, very, very, very sober. And my memory is very sharp as well, which I'm thankful for. But it literally was someone with black pupils. And I only told certain people because I think certain knowledge is not for everybody. And a lot of times people will sit there and judge before they try to understand you. And I've had a lot of experiences, obviously being a spiritualist and so on and so forth. You see a lot of shit that other people don't see. You pick up on things, a lot of things that people don't pick up on. And this is the kind of reason why my inner circle, the people that I speak to on a day-to-day basis, like far as like friends and stuff, it's very intimate, it's very small because I'm not for everybody.
Right.
I know I'm not for everybody. And I know that my experiences are not for everybody as well. And sometimes people could look at my life and judge and be like, oh, what is he practicing? Is it Saintism? It's none of those things. I'm a universal spiritual connector, and that's it. If you understand, you understand. If you don't, you don't. That's it. Nothing more to discuss. But I wanted to share that story with y'all, just because it was very fresh in my head when I woke up this rising.
Tell me a ghost story.
Again, do this comment. It says, elbows, y'all. I can't read right now. Eyebrows on fleek on God. Said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. In my Kevin Howard voice, absolutely not. It said, you are such a beautiful person. We must catch up. It says, I had similar experience before while living in NYC. It says, that's wild. On the new show on Disney, the witch's eyes turn pure black and they are able to take over some of the beings, making their eyes black too. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I can't read right now. Don't talk about me in the comments. Sound a little slow. I've seen the spirit while sneaking out of my friend's house. It was strange. It was 4 of us, and I was the only one that saw this. She gave me an evil smile and her finger over her mouth, but her skin was like crazy. I never experienced someone like that, but I have experienced a demon possession person who had to get out of my house. No, this crazy work right here, y'all. Next story. What y'all think that was?
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely...
I hate talking about this. I have tried filming this video 3 times and every single time it's messed up, which just makes me more determined, so here we are. This dates back to 2017 when I was with my ex. So basically where I live there is a valley, it's very pretty, people come specifically to visit it, but it's quite dark, a lot of deaths happen there. Back in 2017, it was November time, it was cold, it was late, but we liked going for walks late at night out to the valley. Now when you walk into the valley, you've got, there's like a road in the middle, and then there's a valley that goes up one side and a valley that goes up the other. If you're looking at the valley, to the left is just hill, to the right, if you walk along the side and around the front, you've got the water. And then it like piles up rocks up top, which you can climb to, but you need to like climb up them. So this one night, we go out there, it's super late at night, pitch black, no street lights, no nothing. We walk up the side of the valley round, we sit on one of the benches, and we're just sitting there chilling, listening to music, talking. Suddenly at the very top, one of the rocks started pulsating like a light on it. Like it wasn't like quick, it would kind of fade in and then fade back out and fade in and fade back out. And I pointed it out to him, I said, that's really weird, like it's midnight in the middle of nowhere, that's really weird. He kept saying, it's the cars. I kept saying, the road is here, the rock that was lighting up was like up here and around the corner facing.
That's really weird. Don't be trying to play with my intelligence, that's weird.
The water, and I was like, that's not a car, and if it was cars then the rest of the hill would be lighting up. And he was like, no, it's a car. I'm gonna message Harry. This goes on another half an hour or so. The light would like suddenly light up and disappear, light up and disappear, and then it would disappear for 5 minutes and then it would start coming back again. I said, that's really weird, like I don't like that gives me a bad feeling. And he said, maybe someone's camping up there. I said, nobody in their right mind at this time of year will be camping up there. That's just not happening. And he said, it's going to be a person or it's going to be a car. I said, that is neither, and I have got a really bad feeling. It's now 1:30, 2 in the morning, and are like, let's go. So we're walking back, and you have to walk down the valley. Like, you have to walk back down the path to the front of the valley to walk back through the village. The path's quite narrow, like it's a single file, and he's walking in front of me, and I'm behind him, and suddenly I just hear footsteps. I have never moved so fast than when I heard footsteps, because firstly, nobody would be out there without a torch. Secondly, I know for a damn fact there was nobody with us. And thirdly, the feeling I got told us to go. Go now. I'm now clinging onto him like, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. So we leave, we go back to his. All is fine. He kept saying it's a car, it was a person. I kept saying that was neither, that was weird, I didn't like that. It should also be noted that there is wildlife in the area, but it wasn't wildlife walking. We're walking downhill on concrete, like you can hear footsteps. I'm at my house, and I've always had weird stuff happen at my house. This is just a thing of life for me at this point. I was in my bedroom and I was getting ready to go to sleep, and bear in mind it's November time, so we had the heating on, all the windows were shut, all the doors were closed, it's late. And I'm laying in bed reading a book, and I used to have an icicle pendant. If I can find one, I'll insert a picture here. Here is the pendants that I was talking about. If you were to hit the lampshade, because it was an icicle lampshade, they would all kind of splay out, like they would spread apart and fall because it's individual hanging sticks. And for reference, you can see them all hanging individually. And suddenly, light starts moving, and I was like, is it broken? And as I look up, the lampshade, all I have is Tipp-Ex, but I'm going to show you with the Tipp-Ex. The lampshade, all icicles are moving in sync, and it's just doing this. It's just swinging backwards and forwards. I'm frozen, just in fear, as this lampshade kind of swings backwards and forwards. I call for my mum, she comes in, she stops it, both of us are like, that's really weird, and just continue about our lives. I was like, that was horrific. I hated every second of that. I've never again seen it do anything like that, or had seen it do anything like that, but that lived with me. And then it gets worse. I wake up to a really bad feeling, just really, really, really bad gut feeling. So I roll over and I look at my phone, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hate waking up at that time. So I roll my eyes, I'm like, I don't want to be awake right now. Roll back over, and I had this massive wardrobe. I've drawn a picture, but if I can find a picture of it, I'll insert it. Here is wardrobe in question, but this is what it looked like. So you had two double wardrobes, you had a vanity in the middle, and this drawer you couldn't open. Like, you had to hold onto it and then like pull it back with your full body weight. Like, as much as you could, you had to pull it, and even then it didn't always open. I took a screenshot, you can see the marks for how difficult it is to open this drawer. So you had a double wardrobe, a vanity drawer here, and then 3 individual cupboards at the top. They like used to pop open every now and then, so I put hairbands, like an elastic hairband, on each of the doors. Like, they were always on there because sometimes they would just pop open. As you can see, I can't zoom in, but here you can see the elastic band that I had around them. Every single one of them are opening. All of them. Even the vanity is slowly opening, and I remember thinking, I'm dreaming. I just have this vivid memory of me laying there going, I'm dreaming. Rolling.
I'm gonna pause her because I realize she got this music, and I know I'm gonna have to go back and edit this, so I don't want to get copyright for that music in the background. But let's get to my reading because I can't read right now. Say, I'm loving all these stitches being shared with the stitch. So I know I love your nails. He said, I've noticed that almost all the stitches I watch all are the same. Had the hard time recording, like issues with audio savings. Thank you for the visual pictures and drawing. You tell a story so well. I would have frozen in my bed if I saw it. Some people say they try to record so many times, but it doesn't work. Start to pre-plan out something. I am living for these. Thank you. That is crazy. I believe you, but I love camping in the cold. She got a lot of them. She said, I love how you didn't listen when he tried to tell you it was something else. That's how people get killed in movies. Said, trust yourself, y'all. Hope y'all get copyright for that music, but I've seen that it belongs to somebody, so I know anybody with music, I'm about to.
That sounds completely unbelievable, but it's entirely.
So about 12 years ago, my husband was stationed in Hawaii, and we had this little apartment.
If anyone playing with music, I'm about to literally skip over them. It says it's spooky, quiet piano sound, so hopefully
that basically how it was set up was our bed was off into like a corner, and the headboard was against the wall, And then right next to the headboard was a huge window. And I always dealt with sleep paralysis my whole life. Like, I've had a lot of experiences. If you don't know what that is, it's basically when you're conscious, but your body is completely paralyzed. Sometimes it feels like something is actually like physically holding you down. And it's almost always accompanied with that feeling of like impending doom, like something is going to get you. And this particular night, the moon was pretty bright, so the light from the moon was coming through the window, and I was sleeping closest to the window. And when I woke up and had that sleep paralysis, like, I opened my eyes, and standing above me in between the window and the bed, like kind of like hovering over me, was this dark black shadow figure. It looked like a man that was wearing like a hat, and I was fucking terrified. Like, I was so scared. And so I basically closed my eyes and started praying to God, like, please God, like, protect me, like, make this thing go away. And as I'm praying, this is the one and only time that this has ever happened to me during sleep paralysis. This thing actually talked to me, and in like the most creepy, like demonic voice, it said, "There's no God here." It was fucking terrifying. It was crazy. Like, probably the scariest experience of my life.
And Palicentos and the stage, she needed all the sun by the windows to the enchanted something, because what the fuck? But anyways, he said, wow, so that's scary. I would have been terrified. Sleep paralysis can be so scary. I've had it a few times. No, not the shadow figure. I would have been scared. Please help my family. That is so scary. It says, dude, look up at the Hat Man. It's crazy how many people have seen a similar entity. Base housing is always haunted. I have several sleep paralysis episodes. It is terrifying. Please make more videos like this. Just as crazy. That's just crazy. I need to go lie to you. I'm not going to hold you.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely true. I'll go first. When I was young, I remember I was probably around 6 because of the house that we lived in. I'd fallen asleep when my dad was watching football. And I woke up in like the middle of the hallway, and all the lights were off. I'm not sure what time it was, but I woke up sleeping like on the floor. The top half of my body was in the hallway. It was like a ranch style home. Our bedroom was like towards the end of the hallway, and my feet were in the bedroom. And I like kind of looked up to see if my sister was in her bed, to see if everyone was asleep. And I looked back down the hallway, and there was this little girl, and she was walking like slowly down the hallway. She was wearing like a nightgown and holding flowers, like roses. And she had like maybe not a smile, but she looked pleasant. And I remember kind of like backing up and like shaking my head, like rubbing my eyes, like thinking, am I seeing this or am I like asleep? But I don't remember being like afraid, but I remember like being like intensely like looking at her, thinking like, is this really happening? And so at that time she was like made it to the bedroom door, and like when you walked in, there was bunk beds straight right when you walked into the room. And to the right there was a closet. So she walked in through the doorway and like into that like wall portion of the closet. So I got up, I opened the closet doors to look to see how she got in there through the wall, and she wasn't in there. So I like raced down to my mom's room. I'm like, Mom, there's a little girl, and she's in my closet. We got to go, like, wake up. And so my mom and dad were just like, okay, go back to bed. So I went back to bed, and I thought I had brought it up the next morning, but I guess not. Anyway, I thought of that, like, you know, when people say, oh, have you ever seen a ghost? It's come up, and I thought of that. But a couple years ago, we were all with my family, and I brought up that story, and my older sister had like tears in her eyes, and she's like, I remember that night. I was awake, and
wow.
I just tried to go back to bed because I was terrified.
That's
And I don't know
crazy.
how we've never talked about it. But that like gives me chills even thinking about it, because that validates like I was not dreaming. She saw it too. And I don't know how we've never talked about it. And it's been like 15, 18 years and it only just came up. So
Tell me a ghost.
That's crazy. It says, can we please also talk about why are you sleeping in the hallway? Said I literally was confused while I was there. That was crazy. Said I knew it was gonna be this story. Wow, so creepy. That is crazy. And her sister experienced the same thing too.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first. When I was 8.
Alright, so I'm here with my daughter because she has a lot of ghost stories, but she's very shy, so she'll probably never tell you. But this is one that I was actually there and I witnessed and I experienced it with her. Alright, so we had to leave this apartment because they were like, everybody had to leave. It was becoming unfit for people to live in. So it came our turn. We had to leave. We ended up moving in with a family member temporarily. So it was myself and my girls and my fiance. And so one night we were asleep. She's had other experiences. Like we probably could do about at least 20 of these stitches just from her alone. But this one night we're laying down at this family member's house. We're asleep, you know. She wakes me up in the middle of the night saying that she heard somebody calling her name. So I'm looking around. Everybody's asleep. Everybody is asleep. So I'm like, well, what did the voice sound like? What did you say? It sounded like a man? Was it a man?
Yeah.
It was like a man's voice. And I'm like, okay. I'm kind of scared because I know that she has these experiences. Like she's just a very creative child. She's very different. And she sees things and sometimes she knows things. Like we can get deeper into it, but for the sake of this story, we'll just keep it there. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, come closer to me because we were laying next to each other. So I move her closer to me, and I can feel her kind of getting shaky right now because it is a scary story. So she moves closer to me. We're just laying there. We're looking around in the dark or whatever. So I'm like, do you hear? Do you still hear the voice? And then it did like say your name one more time while you was with me. Can you remember? It didn't say, okay, so it didn't say her name, but you could just feel it in the room, like in the air, like it was a very off feeling. Oh, so anyway, we're laying there and I'm holding her and we both try to like close our eyes and doze off.
That is crazy. We're
dozing off, you can feel the air. And we're just like looking at each other and like it's like hours were going by. And out of nowhere, we're like looking. It was like another room, like where we were laying at. We're looking in the room. I'm looking in the dark. I'm like, do you see anything? Like prior nights before, she said she saw like a little child looking at her. She said she saw a child calling her name with like long black hair. And I didn't brush it off because like she's had other experiences. But anyway, let me speed it up. Out of nowhere, both of our bodies just shook, and you heard like a hiss, and both of us looked at each other and like, did you hear that? Did you feel that? And we both was like, yeah. And we grabbed each other and we hugged each other for the rest of that night. Nobody believed us, but that shit happened. Like, we were scared, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She is gifted. Tell her not to be afraid. So does my baby. Tell her that she's not alone. So also as I'm also sensitive where we're chosen and it's a beautiful gift. By the way, she's cute. Thank you. Love the story, but it's creepy. You said baby girl just know things. I understand completely. I do as well. Thank you for believing in her. It is so scary not to understand what and why is happening, and it's so important to be strong. And that's so good that she actually encouraged her daughter to like not like just knock it off, like go to sleep, you're making shit up. Sometimes people are gifted in this type of area, and it's okay to believe, not like believe in the entity, but believe that the person is actually seeing something. Y'all comment down below how y'all liking these stories so far. What y'all thinking of the stories? I'm not liking them so far. We got 4
Tell me a
more.
ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely...
I'll go first. When I was in high school, I was living with my mom and my sister, and we had a cute little house. There was a basement, and this is a story why I am scared of all basements. My sister was like maybe 3 or 4. She would always look up in random corners of the house and talk and laugh, whatever. I just thought she had her own imaginary friends. Didn't really freak me out. But she would always say that she was too scared to go in the basement because the big, tall, scary man was down there and she was scared he was going to get her. And my mom's just like, oh, it's okay. Like, no one's down there. Tried to play it off, which moms always do. Totally get it now that I'm a mom. Never thought anything of it. My sister refused to go downstairs all the time. She'd always stand at the top of the stairs and like talk down there and act scared and run away. Well, when we were moving, we got everything out from the basement and we were pulling out stuff from underneath the stairs that was ours, and tucked in the very, very back corner of the stairs was like this little box. And I'm like, that's not mine. And my mom's like, it's not mine either. Let's take it out. Well, we unpacked the box and there was like an old army type uniform.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at my mom and she looked at me. She's like, we probably should not be taking this out of here.
Right.
We did look at it. It was a very, very tall uniform. And I remember my sister saying there was a really tall, scary man downstairs. Instantly put it back in the box, put it back underneath the stairs.
Right.
We wanted nothing to do with that, but I have plenty of more scary stories from that house, along with every other house I've lived in. If y'all want to hear more, let me know.
See, your mama right. Leave it alone. Say never open a box. That's why I said, but hard not to, because I was so nosy. I don't even have a basement. Say I'm thankful my house now isn't scary. Say I am here to scope. I'm here to scoop you up, my friend. Y'all, I don't know how to read. Thank you so much. Right back to you. And you said the other one say, oh, hell no. Nah, that's for real. Leave stuff alone if you find it. Especially if it's sitting there, you don't know what it's been sitting there for. Certain things should just be left alone. You know what I'm saying? Just real life left alone. Oh. Let me know. I'm gonna have to get this back to air. Y'all, I'm tripping. Let me know how this camera looks, okay? So I can get this back together. What do y'all think? I'm thinking straight.
Ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable, but it's entirely true.
So I grew up in a haunted house. Nothing crazy, nothing scary. Named her Paula. She was a friendly old lady ghost. That's how I would describe her. She was sweet, nothing like she would never get angry, like nothing scary. Just scary the fact that you live with a ghost in this house and you know you are not alone when you're home alone. So like you just know that she's there. You could see like things in the corner of your eye. She was definitely very active in the hallway, and in the kitchen. I would sometimes hear things in my room, like nothing like crazy. It was just like, you know, those prank jewelry boxes. I would hear that, and I never had one. Humming. You could hear humming. Nothing, you know, nothing too crazy. She was just friendly. I think she might have lived there at one point. Maybe she died there. I don't really know. I don't know her real name, so we just called her Paula.
So
she is still there. Really my mom lives, you know, obviously still there. So they are just coexisting. Spooky things happen, but, you know, nothing my mom hasn't been used to. So one day in high school, I had a friend come over, and I told her before that there is a ghost in my house. I would tell usually everyone that would come over, just like, hey, like, it's creepy, it's not gonna hurt you. So she, take it or not, believe it or not, I don't care, I warned you. So we are home alone in the house, and we are getting ready to go. So me and her in my room, doors closed, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden we hear, "What are you guys doing?" The look on this girl's face. She was so scared. We ran out of the house because obviously Paula has never spoken to us. Paula would always just make herself known. She never communicated with us. So that was the first for me. And definitely I was a little freaked out. But nothing like, it wasn't angry. It was just, what are you guys doing? Kind of thing. And my friend, she was, scared. She ended up coming back, though, to hang out again. A couple times after. So that was cool. She would just never leave the group that we were all hanging out in. Like, she would just never go to the bathroom alone, stuff like that. But we have so many stories, like happy stories of this house. It's hilarious.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely...
Said I had an ex whose house was haunted by a little kid. The name was Sarah, and she played a lot of tricks on us. I was terrified of the upstairs and would never go. So I remember the Paula leg rub when you were at the Relay for Life, and I was on there. So Paula thought you were part of the family. Said commented to stay on Ghost TikTok. So I guess that was her friend that's commented down below. But that's crazy. Where that and then that's actually crazy. And then good thing to hear that all of them just not traumatized too. We got two more, y'all.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
So I was walking my dogs one day, and I was walking them one at a time. So I walked my girl dog first. Say hi, lady. And I noticed that there was a police car at my neighbor's house. So that's pretty unusual because I live in a pretty safe neighborhood. The only time that the police will be called is if something, drastic happened or whatever. So then I grabbed Blue and I'm walking him around. And then when I come back by the neighbor's house, I see a coroner's truck. So I'm like, oh my God, somebody passed away. So I called my mom and I told my mom, I think that one of our neighbors passed away. So then she was like, oh my God. So then I stopped to talk to somebody. They came and we were talking. And then a car drives past and it was two of my neighbors. They always drive together. And I think they live together. So it was two men in the front, but this lady that they always hang out with, which I learned later that they all live together, she was in the back seat. So I don't really speak to my neighbors. I don't say anything. So the person I was talking to waved to them. The guy in the front seat in the driver's side honked the horn. The guy on the passenger side waved, but the lady was just staring. So I didn't say anything. I just looked their way. I wear glasses, so everything was blurry to me. So I just looked their way, and I continued to talk to the person I was talking to. So then later that day, the person had told me like, it was a guy that had died. It was somebody in that apartment. I think it was an older guy that passed away. Oh, wow. They live in an apartment or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, like, oh, sorry about that. Like, I hope he lived a good life, So then, tell me why the following day, the person told me that he went to their house and he knocked on the door and he saw the guy. So he said that he got scared, like, wait a minute, what's happening? And the guy says that the lady passed away. The lady, the white, she was a white lady with, she had strawberry blonde hair. she was the one that passed away. Yo, I had goosebumps. 'Cause I saw the lady that day driving away in the back seat, just staring. And then I asked him, I said, did you see the lady in the back seat? He said, no. He only saw the guy. He only saw the driver and the guy in the passenger side. I said it was the lady because I had never seen the lady before. Oh, wow. I never seen the lady like up close before. I've seen her throughout the, you know, like the neighborhood or whatever, hanging with them, but I was never close enough. And I saw her literally, like she was like literally a foot away from me. That's my ghost story.
That's crazy.
Tell me a ghost story.
Let's get into these comments. Say, lady was not having it. LL, I be spooked. That's crazy. I believe you. Say good story. I believe you. But also the dog snoring in the background is adorable. He wasn't even in he wasn't even in his usual deep sleep. He snores like a grown man who woke. double. That's what I just said. So chilling. And said, now that's insane. It's baffling you had experienced that, but I could only imagine how that man felt when he saw the dude who was supposed to be dead and wasn't. Said, nope, no ma'am, no thank you. He said, lady, no thank you, no interest. He says, okay, now I'm freaked out. And I will be making, that would have made me my pants for real. Hey friend, wow, that's creepy. Okay. Last one, y'all, for tonight.
Tell me a ghost story. That sounds.
So when I was in 6th grade, I moved into a really old farmhouse in my town in Maine, and it was probably built in the late 1890s. So it had no foundation, you know, gunshot hallways, kind of like a big mud basement. All the cabinetry was just very old. It's a very old, wonky, moving around house. And we originally bought it because my uncle sold it to us, but my mother had knew the family that lived in there prior. She used to play with all the kids when she was in elementary school, and their grandmother was the lady who lived in the house, and she was also my mom's school teacher. So she knew these people before we decided to move into the house. And I lived there until about junior year of college when we decided to sell the house. So there was one night when my sister and I went to my dad's, and my mom had listed the house and found the people that were going to be buying the house. And so my mom was laying in her bed in her bedroom with the cat at the end of the bed. And at the very foot of my mom's bed was a really tall chest of drawers, so maybe 5'4" tall, and then she had a TV on top, and she left the extra remotes up there. And then to the left of that drawer was a door that went to a really creepy in-law apartment that always made me uncomfortable, but we used to play in there, all that. And then a door on the other side of that went to an attic. Very old, creepy house. And so one night, my mom was watching TV, was on the phone with my aunt, and she was telling her about the potential buyers and how she's going to miss the house. And so the second that my mom brought up the fact that the house was being sold, my mom said the remote that was on top of the chest of drawers just lifted up like 3 inches and was hovering there.
Oh, that's creepy.
And my mom started freaking out, like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on. And my aunt's like, you're just pulling my leg. And my mom's like, no, I'm being so serious. Like, the remote is lifting and levitating right now. And so she took her phone and was going to flip around and take a picture. And so when my mom did that, the remote moved, so it was hovering above the ground, but off of the chest of drawers, and then fell onto the floor. And my mom started panicking. And then she called and told me about it, and then showed me when she came back, and she did not touch the remote after that because she was so freaked out by it. Also, my cat was just really mean when we got her. She just did not like a lot of people. When people would come over to the house, she would run upstairs, scurry, usual cat things. But she was very protective of the 3 of us. She would always sleep at the top of the stairs, looking down the stairs, but where she would lay is between all 3 of our bedrooms. So she has done that since when we got her as a kitten in this house. So she was very sensitive to a lot of the stuff that we now realize. So then maybe about like a week later, I was going out with some friends. I came back late at like 11:30, got ready, went to bed, fell asleep. And so my mom comes in at like 3:30 in the morning, and she's like, what did you just knock something over? Like, you're so loud, and like, what's, and I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I went down into the kitchen, and my coffee bean canister was on the counter, and the beans had like spilled out all over the counter and onto the floor. And it's important to note that the cabinetry in our house was really, really old. So it's like solid wood doors, right? And because the house had kind of settled weird, it was really hard to slam them in. And so it's really hard to open it and close it. They get stuck really easy. And same with our drawers. Like, we didn't have the metal rails. It was just straight wood in there. So you had to like shake it out and shimmy it back in. Very hard to open cabinets. Specifically this one that my mom had the coffee beans in, you had to yank it open. It was also on the top count, like on the top shelf. And also it was one of those airtight containers. So you had to like press a button to take the lid off in order to do that.
Okay.
So then my mom went, cleaned it all up, put it back on the shelf. Didn't think about it. But then at 7 a.m., she woke me up again and was like, no, seriously, what is going on? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, I came downstairs into the kitchen and all of our drawers and all of the cabinets are open. Everything is just pulled out. And then also the coffee beans had been spilled all over again. I'm like, I don't, what are you talking about? It wasn't me. And she's like, I'm going to show you. Like, I just woke up. You need to come see this. So I went down. She was right. Everything was open. All the drawers had come out, which are hard. And also the coffee beans everywhere. And I was like, this is so funny. Like, you're so funny. And she's like, no, I'm being so serious. Like, I do not know what's going on. And she was freaking out. And our cat was freaking out the rest of that week. She was super skittish. So then maybe a week or two later, my mom and I, or my sister and I, went back to my dad's. And my mom was home alone again. And she said that the same thing happened. All the cabinets open again, except also like some of our bedroom doors and our bathroom doors had been also open, which again are solid wood doors that have multi-layers of paint, so they're impossible to open. You really have to yank them open and closed. And so she was just so fed up. And so again, she was watching TV in her bed, the cat's there. And she said that she got a really weird, eerie feeling once again. And my mom just wanted to nip it in the bud and was frank and said out loud, we believed that it was the grandmother who had done this. We never had any issues with her before, but my mom just thought because we were selling the house that it was probably her. And so my mom had said out loud, like, Mrs., like, I'm so thankful to have this house. I'm so thankful I got to raise my kids here. I'm so thankful for the memories and everything. I hope you enjoyed having us in this house and that we are so grateful to be here, but you need to go. And when my mom said that, she said that the remotes fell off again and the cat freaked out. And my mom's like, you need to go. Like, this is over. This is done. You need to leave. Thank you for everything, but you need to go. You have to leave. And my mom said that the eerie feeling kind of went away. The cat was normal. And then we never had any issues ever again. Can't say anything for the family that still lives there today. Wow. Also, it's important to note that when we moved into our new house, basically brand new built, our cat is very loving, very affectionate. She loves everybody. She will come to the front door. She likes to sit in the middle of the conversations. So we think she felt some stuff. But yeah, I have a couple more ghost stories from my mom and I, and so if you'd like to hear them, I'm going to post.
Okay, let's get into these comments. It says, spilling the beans. Says, totally interesting in your story. It said, that's crazy. It says, LMAO. I completely forgot to tell the part about all of my toys going off in moving box and no batteries. Say, I live in Maine, which town was it? Looking forward to the next story. It says, my mom, sorry for my reading, always said that the cats are spiritual protector. If it leaves you, you did not need it. If a cat comes to you, take it. It says, as soon as you said Maine, I was like, oh my God. Comment to stay on Ghost TikTok. Have you ever spoken to the family that lives there? She said, we did. We have more intense than just, I cannot read. We have more incense than just this one. Not sure if you had one. So did she get the picture of the remote? Alright, y'all, so this we're Okay, so this is day number 91 of Summer Wing. I'm gonna be back on here a little later, but hopefully y'all go ahead and rewatch the everything. But I'm done. I got other stuff to do too.